something's wrong. And all of a sudden, and the whole thing goes on fire.
And this guy saved my life.
Problem with our industry, nobody knows about it.
It's pushing us as a society to a higher level.
How'd this guy end up sitting at the table with me?
I know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right?
I just stumbled over here. The seat was empty, so I sat down.
You know what it was? Is Titan wanted to even it out, so there was one machinist at each table.
That's good. Already, we just got started.
Don't want it to be lopsided.
I will say something about Trevor, though. He literally had the craziest interview I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
For sure.
Literally, the building was burning. The roof was on fire, man. It was crazy.
I don't know if I've
Trevor.
heard this one yet.
That's
Let's
right.
hear this. I got to hear this story.
Dude, this is crazy.
Greatest interview of my life.
He actually
Might have been of Titans from the background.
So we were like walking around the machines, and we're coming around by the grinding machine, and I'm walking them through, and I'm just talking about the vision of the company and stuff. And as we came around the Studer S41, we hopped around, and all of a sudden, one of our guys stepped up, and it's like, we're like astronauts going where no machinist has ever gone before. And we're like looking, and then all of a sudden, there's a guy on the machine, one of the tech guys, and he's like, something's wrong. And all of a sudden, whoosh, and then the whole like fire just like lights up in the machine. The whole thing goes on fire, and then the fire suppression didn't work. Within a second, the fire suppression system's supposed to just go
knock it out.
And all of a sudden it's like fire, and then crap, and then flames just shoot straight up to the ceiling, literally through the top of the machine up to the ceiling.
And these are like 30-foot ceilings.
Yeah,
right?
that's crazy.
Yeah, one of the guys went and punched this little glass on the machine and hit this button, and it went out. But before that happened, I literally saved this guy's life. I literally saved this guy's life.
This interview might go down as the best. I mean, already it's crazy.
It was literally
This was
insane.
your first day in here.
Yeah, it was my first day in here. I had only been here for like maybe 15 minutes, and so we're starting to walk around the shop, like he said, and yeah, man, when the fire broke out, I was just like in complete shock. I mean, I was completely frozen. I'm like standing like maybe 10, 15 feet from the machine as this is happening. And so I'm like standing there in shock, and I'm like, this is crazy. And then I feel the heat on my face. Literally. I'm like, okay.
Wait. You ever see like a picture of like the moon or a planet, and then you see like, then somebody's just standing there like this, dang, like one of those science fiction pictures, somebody's like, whoa,
the enormity of it all.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was like Trevor with the fire, and the fire's going to the ceiling, and his arms are packed, and he's literally just like looking at it like,
like this is crazy.
And then I'm standing on the side, and then what happened?
So as I feel the heat on my face, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should take a couple steps back. This is
he's trying to explain it, but he didn't actually think. He just tried to go back.
I basically just
he was
reacted.
just like, oh crap, he just went back.
Yeah, and so I stepped back, and since it's a 40,000 square foot film studio,
don't explain it. Just say what happened.
There's literally a light behind me, and I take a step back, and I trip over the light, and I'm headed down face first into the concrete, and this guy saved my life.
Dude.
Dang.
I tell him. I tell him that's how much I care about my guys, and care about my whole shop was on fire, flames going to the ceiling.
This guy's dropping.
He's like falling, and then while everything's happening, I'm just like roar, like Matrix, man, coming down. Grab him, bring him back to safety, pull him away from the fire, literally saved his life. I didn't even get a card from his wife or anything for saving her husband, literally, that's what happened.
Surprised he didn't get a threatening letter from his wife.
Right. The life insurance could have kicked in.
She was almost set.
What are you doing? I was ready.
Right.
You listen to Trevor say it, and then he's just, well, I stood there and I thought about it, and I thought, well, since it's getting very hot, I should just take a couple steps
Hey,
back.
I'm an
But they
overthinker.
You gotta have the right picture in your head though, because every time I hear this story, I see Titan catching you like it was a slow dance. You know
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Like
seeing, like a little
he puts
drop.
one hand under
Hey.
your knees and carries you to safety.
Yeah.
That's the
Dude.
way I see it.
It was a pretty graceful save, that's for sure.
Dude, it was slick.
In the middle
It
of
was
all the
slick.
chaos, it's just like,
Boom.
And even
know?
better that it was
Reactions,
on camera.
baby.
yeah.
Hey, I
Yeah.
will have to say then, in relation to this crazy interview, good thing nothing did happen to you because,
Right.
you know, I've only been here, 7-8 weeks now, and I appreciate you being here. So if something
Thanks, man.
happened,
Boom.
what would have
Oh, man.
what would the path have been like? It would have been a much different path without Trav here,
Oh, I know. I
right?
know.
You got to hire
Yeah.
the right people. You
Yeah.
got to make
Yep.
sure that this guy is covered and safe. Good for you,
But
Titan.
what's crazy is, God had a plan
Oh.
over this guy's life, and we didn't talk about it back then, but we hit the button, all of a sudden, fire suppression, done, smokes everywhere. So he's helping us like open the doors. Boom, 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 boom. Like all the guys are opening the doors and stuff. And
It is nuts.
and he's just part of the team, right?
Yeah.
And then he leaves. And then for a couple weeks, I was just busy and stuff. And he applied for like a 3-axis mill, roll,
Yeah,
like-
yeah.
Yeah. And he kept asking, like he kept like messaging me and saying, hey, have you had a chance to like think about it? And I would just like, I'd go, because he had like 7,000 followers on Instagram, and I would see him post, and then I would just go in there like hashtag saved your life. You know what I mean? I just keep saying, and he's like probably getting annoyed because I'm not giving him an answer.
That's
but I just
great.
didn't have that. I didn't have the gut yet,
Yeah.
So all of a sudden it's like hashtag save your life, hashtag save your life. And then one day I was like, hey, I'm going to give you the job.
Yeah,
Okay.
good stuff.
But the job was that's where the story's crazy, because the job was for this. And if you actually look at our company, you haven't really had a chance to be on 5-axis mills. Now I know you would pick it up super easy, right?
I actually I'm looking forward to learning it from Jesse. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna,
super good.
I'm gonna do it.
Dude,
Jesse?
the whole world's going to learn from Jesse on our new 5-axis curriculum that
100%.
every single shop can actually use on our academy. It's
For
gonna be
free.
insane.
Yeah.
So were you
But
a job shop guy then, or OEM? What was the background that brought you here?
Yeah. So it's funny actually. The first shop I worked at was with my dad.
Okay, nice.
So that's actually how I ended up getting into the trade. I was going to school for physical therapy.
No way.
And then
It's always a
I
good
was
story.
like, yeah. And then I was like, I realized pretty quickly I'm not a physical therapist.
Yeah, you're
You know
like,
what
this
I mean?
ain't going. This ain't my
isn't
path.
for me. So then, in talking to my dad and stuff, he's like, well, you might like what I do, And my dad was a machinist my entire life, and I didn't actually know what he did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just didn't talk about it. So
Sure.
then I started exploring it a little bit and reading through the machinist handbook and stuff. I'm like, man, Dad, you know all this stuff? So then I kind of fell in love with it, And then, got started at the same shop he works at, worked under him for 8 years, learned
Beauty.
a ton from him. So, but the company I worked for was actually, they made motion control products.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
encoders and stuff like
Sure.
that. So they had their own product, and we essentially built all the molds for the entire product line and maintained them all. So
Beauty.
Yeah.
It's
That's
funny.
awesome.
A lot of the best machinists I've met in my career have been people that started in a family shop.
No
or at least
doubt.
working with their father. It's
Yeah.
pretty
I
cool.
knew exactly where you were going with that. It is. I see it all the time. You see guys that I've sold to and back in the day, and then their son takes over and takes it to a level that their dad, who was great, couldn't even imagine. I mean, rolled this shop from, say 20 employees to 60, 70, 80 employees and just blew it out. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's like Titan's saying all the time, for some people, it's literally in your blood.
It is.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
like
It is.
That's what you're destined to be.
DNA.
Yeah.
Yep.
For
So,
sure.
so what kind of projects what did you learn at that shop? 8 years.
So it's crazy, actually. I started out washing parts that came off Swiss machines. They come out super oily and everything. So I had about a year of schooling under my belt, and I got into the shop and just took whatever opportunity came my way. I started out, doing inventory, washing machines, cleaning out, coolant sumps and stuff. And then moved on to prototype work, actually. So R&D, that's where I learned all the 3-axis stuff, learned how to machine a variety of different materials and Mastercam, all that. Did that for a couple years, and then got an opportunity to move into a mold making department and
Nice.
started an apprenticeship.
That's legit, right?
Legit.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was
Totally
fun, man.
agreed.
And honestly, it's like a huge blessing to be able to start at that shop because they had all that stuff under one roof, you know. So it was like a playground, man.
That's a huge benefit to being either in a shop that's got it all, right? Like this shop, we've got everything from 3-axis mills to 5-axis to mill turn lathes to EDM, additive, big horizontal. There's Swiss. Thank you. And to be able to be in a shop that you can go and want to learn all that, right? I mean, there's guys that might stay in front of their station and just say, hey, I'm good, I'm comfortable right here. But to learn all that, man, that's good stuff,
Crazy.
Trav.
And now you're actually making, like, you have a project right now, a little mold that you're actually making and explaining and teaching the world how to actually do it. It's super cool.
Yeah, and that's actually what I love about this job is being able to shed light on things that are maybe kind of hidden secrets within the industry. It's like people in the industry know how to do it, but what about everybody outside the industry? They have no idea what goes into this stuff, so. And then with how big this industry is, you got a lot of aerospace machinists, but mold making is a massive industry.
Yep.
And
complete art.
Yeah.
It has to be absolutely perfect.
Yeah. So it was a huge blessing to be able to learn that, under my dad too.
Yeah.
And we commuted back and forth to work. It was like an hour each way. We just talked shop the entire time.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice.
This guy, he doesn't talk about it, but he also used to play baseball, pitch in college.
Ooh.
And him and Travis are on a church team.
Yeah.
And then he just went out his first at bat and just cranked it so far over the fence. Everybody was just quiet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember the time he raced Braxton over there by the restaurant, and if he ran like that during the softball game, then
Well, he doesn't.
Yeah,
it
see,
doesn't.
that's the
It
thing,
doesn't
when you-
matter. He can walk around.
Yeah, when you
because
hit
he
a bomb,
actually-
you get to jog around the base.
Yeah.
I
There's
see,
no
I
speed
see.
involved.
No.
Oh man.
I'm
Yeah.
sure the rest of the kids on the t-ball team were very disappointed.
Right. Yeah.
Talking about hiring people, I love military veterans. I love athletes. I just love good men.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
men and women. And it's like from the point that I started talking to Trevor to going around and seeing how he just reacted to the whole thing, and he was just part of the team, and he's hanging out afterwards, and we're just all talking and stuff, and he was just one of the guys. So I ended up telling him, hey, I'm going to give you a job,
Nice.
for this amount of money. And we don't make molds.
No.
We're not a mold shop. We're not, we're here. We came to Texas to go big and do something in education and teach the world and make manufacturing famous. And I came here to build this crazy team to just do what nobody's ever done before, and I wasn't sure how he was going to fit into that team at the time, but I was like, you know what, this man, and that's a good lesson for, a lot of owners and leaders and stuff, is that gut instinct. I
No
looked
doubt.
at Trevor and I was like, I want this guy on my team. I respect this guy. So I actually hired him. But if you look now, what I hired you for originally, there's really not a spot for that.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
Right?
Would have been hard to grow in that role for sure.
Exactly. Especially family, house, kids, growing family.
Yeah.
You had one child at the beginning, and now you got two, and
Right.
yeah, super crazy.
It was
Texas
funny
born.
when he started here. He didn't even have a machine on the shop floor yet.
He used to cry.
Oh, I know. He's
to
like, it's so
cry.
easy for you, Barry, because at least you have machines. But
You make big chips, Barry.
I know.
I'm
I,
sitting here
big
doing
chips.
nothing.
but I remember telling you, Titan, in the very beginning, like after I was here for a week and you were here for 2 weeks at that point. But I was like, man, you made a good choice hiring that guy, Trevor. He's got a good attitude. He's always coming over, offering to help me out. It's like that guy. He's a good fit for this.
This
place.
is crazy.
Appreciate
Wait, what just happened?
I know.
That's like the first time he ever said
Compliment.
anything good about
I
you.
don't know what to
man.
say.
Yeah.
And we have it on camera.
But
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
is crazy.
At the same time, I got to remind him how
History.
fortunate he is, because you were looking for somebody with a good engineering background that was good with 3D modeling and had.
wait,
additive
don't jump to the back of the story now.
right. We're still in the middle.
Yeah. Don't spoil
But
it.
the crazy thing is this is like I knew I need to hire this guy. I just had that gut instinct. God just put it on my heart. Hire this guy. Hired him. We agreed on money. All of it. Oh, he gave 2 weeks notice. About a week later, we're building an additive space. We're bringing in crazy multi-million-dollar, additive machines and stuff, powder beds and mark boards and all these different things. And I'm thinking to myself, so now I need to go get the best person to be a director of our additive department. So I put it out. Whenever I deal with additive, if I'm at one of our customers or something, I'm always dealing with all these engineers, and then they're designing parts, and then they're printing their
100%.
parts. So I'm just, in my head, I'm just thinking engineer, models, creation, all that. So I got to go get somebody super awesome that actually has a great personality and all that. So got like over 100 resumes. A bunch of them are just crazy experience, master's degrees, all of it. And I locked into one person, and it was actually, it was a woman. I was like, oh, this will be great. Women in the workforce and all that, So, flew her down. She worked at one of the biggest defense companies in the world. And she came down and we interviewed her. It just didn't click.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just wasn't going to work as far as like on camera, because we do everything on camera and stuff.
Sure.
So it just wasn't going to work and stuff. And so I'm looking through all these different resumes and stuff. And then one day I just wake up and I literally am going to the gym. Every day I wake up, I go to the gym at 5 a.m. and I'm in the parking lot. And when I woke up, I just knew like I knew. And I just text Trevor and I said, hey, Trevor, I'm going to give you an opportunity that is literally going to change the course of your life. It's going to be the biggest blessing on your family, and it's crazy. And you got that at like 5 a.m.
Yeah, I was actually sitting at the shop that I gave my 2 weeks notice at, and I'm, of course, ready to start here, right? So when I got that text, I was just like so
waiting
excited,
every day,
man.
like,
yeah.
when is this guy gonna get a hold of me?
I was so excited, it's like,
Change your life, son.
yeah, man. He's like, text me, tell me he's going to give me a life-changing opportunity. And so, of course, I'm like, so I text him back. I'm like, you know what? That sounds incredible. But can you give me like a little hint as to what this
What it is I'm
opportunity
gonna do?
Oh, man.
I had that same question.
But yeah, but it's funny because I didn't even really care what it was. I already knew I was like on board, you know. But
and what did I say?
yeah, so then I sent that off. I'm like, hey, can you tell me what it is? And I'm waiting, and I get a text back. I pull my phone out and I look at it, and it says no. I'm like, oh man, now I gotta,
That's the funniest thing. Like interviewing
Start
with
thinking,
Titan
what
is one of the strangest things in the world, because it's like, so what's my day to day gonna look like? And it'll be like, changing the industry. Okay.
Lifting us up.
What does that entail exactly? Do you want to change the industry or don't you?
It's
Greatness.
true. It's true.
Greatness. If it's mediocrity, leave.
Forget
like,
about
we're here
it.
to
That
raise
door
the
is
game.
locked. Yes, exactly.
Oh,
You know,
man.
it's funny too. You said it. It's. I agree with you 100%. Finding, talent that has got a sports background, DNA, just generations of machinists and military. Talk about team building, team effort. You've been through stuff together as a team. That's what's important in here. When I came on board, this team, I think I've said this probably before in one of the other podcasts, but it is a team. I mean, through and through, stacked.
And what I look for when I'm working with people is, like, if somebody comes to me and asks me for help, I'm going to drop whatever I'm doing to help that person. And Trevor was really good at that. And, all the teams
Asking you for help all the time.
Hey, that's 100% true, man. This guy is a beast in SolidWorks. Everybody knows it. So anytime I have a question on SolidWorks, I'm like, hey, Barry, can you help me out with this? And he's never failed me.
Yeah. But that's what it's all about, right? I mean, we're not all experts in everything. So,
Right.
Part of being part of a good team is knowing when to go to somebody else for help, and then
No doubt.
being willing to help everybody with whatever they need. So
Yep.
that's part of why our team here is so great, because we're all good at so many things, and it's been super awesome to be a part of this.
Well,
place.
and there's a cool little backdrop to when I first came here too, and one of the tours that we did for the first time. Trevor fitting into that team like a glove, and again, I'm only seeing this from the outside because I haven't been here that long, but immediate in terms of what my thoughts were on him. And we were doing a tour, and one of the cool things, he's talking about that skull implant, right? That's a great story. I even, in fact, had told that we went to dinner last night, and I told that same story about the skull implant. I just love about how you do the background of everything. You
So
don't
good.
just do the part. You learn about the history of what you're doing, and that was really cool.
Let me back up.
Back
real,
it up.
real quick.
Back it
and
up.
Then we'll jump right into that story, because that is a bigger story, and I love it. So when we actually had the conversation, I told him, I said, look, we're dealing with such technology, and we're partnering with the best engineers in the world. We're all gonna, no matter who I bring in, no matter what their experience, I'm gonna actually have to teach that person this technology.
Yeah.
Right. And we
good call.
have a blessing that we get to work with the greatest companies and stuff. So
Agreed.
all of a sudden, when I woke up, I just thought, Trevor's the guy.
It's
Trevor's
awesome.
the guy. He's done mold making. He's done EDM. He didn't have a lot of additive experience, especially with metals and stuff, but he just had a great head, and he was like raised, his dad being in this trade
Yeah.
and him being in the trade. I just knew, like I knew, that Trevor was the guy. And so I ended up having him come up here that day in the afternoon, and I just talked to him. I gave him the vision of what we were building in additive. I said, I don't even have an office, right? The guys have an office. I don't have an office, but you're going to have a 60-foot office,
Yeah.
And you're going to have the craziest technology around you. And then later on, we're going to bring in EDMs, and your job will just be to teach the world about additive, EDM, make incredible parts, and just make it easy. A lot of people, it goes over their heads, so we want to teach them not only the technique and how to use the machines, but we want to make it interesting, want to make it sexy.
You
know?
must have liked him a lot, because I agree. I think he's got the best office in the
Yeah.
entire
yeah.
building. My
It's so
God.
funny. I remember when I came for that talk, he's like, "Dude, you're gonna have an office," and I was like, couldn't wrap my head around it.
The biggest office.
Yeah,
It is.
And then when that
It's
was built,
legit.
and I'm like, "Oh, this is great," But I was like, "But didn't you say something about an office?" He's like, "Dude, this
This
is
is
your
it."
office."
Open your mind, Trevor. Open your mind.
I'm thinking like a cubicle. You know?
Yeah,
I'm
no,
starting to
yeah.
get jealous. He's the
I'm
only one
telling
that
you.
got a hug during his interview. He's
Damn.
got
Oh, man.
a huge office.
Oh, good. But
Hugs
I
and
think
offices.
it's for leaders and people that hire, we have a great team.
Oh,
We have an amazing team.
Top shelf.
Everyone that walks in, they end up leaving and saying, Titan, best thing about you is your team. Incredible. Like, never seen it before. But it was intentional.
yeah.
It was intentional. I've hired and fired hundreds of people through running different companies and having my own for 18 years, something
Yep.
like that. One bad apple can ruin a bunch.
100%.
So you got to make sure that, I don't trip on the political stuff and all that, but I just want to make sure that my guys will just get along. Guys are
Team
or
chemistry.
girls.
Like,
Exactly.
that's how it is. If you're in
Exactly.
like I said earlier, teams, you're out in combat, and you've got to rely on your team members. Whatever it is, that is a huge part of chemistry in a company is enormous. It makes everyone else want to succeed and do better.
Well, one thing that I notice about our team is everybody's pulling in the same direction. They're working
Totally.
towards the same goal, and they understand that what we're trying to do here is bigger than all of us.
Yeah.
That's one thing that just stands out to me every single time we
Yep.
talk about our team. So
Yeah, if you don't love our community, if you don't love our vision, our mission of what we're trying to do, you should not be here.
Yep.
Period.
Agreed.
Not being mean, you just shouldn't be here, because we need like-minded people,
Well-
individuals coming together.
Well, and again, the visitors that we do bring in, vendors that haven't been here before, they kind of come in with this, what is this place? What are you guys
Exactly.
doing under this roof? And then when they leave, they're
get
like, they're like, this is insane. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
And
You
they've never-
guys
And
are
I think
killing
the
it.
hospitality too.
Oh,
the
white
class,
gloves.
people don't really see that on camera, but
Good call.
when you walk somebody through our facility, all of the entire team, they stand up, they look them in the eye,
Yep.
they shake their hand, they're genuinely interested in that person, and
Yep.
wants to. They have conversations, and people they're not used to that. They're
Agreed.
used to walking past people with their head down and their head stays down.
Yeah.
And yet, if somebody comes in, we know that they're important.
100%.
It could be somebody that has a machine in their garage, or just a vision to be in industry, or it could be like a 15-year-old kid. If they walk through this door, they get a T-shirt. Every single one. The UPS driver walks through this door, they get a T-shirt. Whoever walks through, like, you take care of them and you make them feel important because they are.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
It's funny how many like 18-wheeler drivers come in here and they're like, "Wow, what is this place?"
Right.
And it's like, well, let me show you.
Yeah. And then they become fans, and then they talk. They end up talking in the comments and stuff
It's
like
I
that.
just drive a truck, but this is sick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I love when they're like, "Where could you learn to do something like this?" It's like, oh well,
Yeah.
That
we
was,
have an academy for you.
right.
That was the guy. I don't know if you saw. We had a visitor in yesterday, and he's a service tech. Great guy. Funny story. Worked with him years ago in the industry. He sends me a text last night. He's like, "I know how to fix these machines. Now I'm going to learn how to run them. I just joined the academy." I'm like, that is, just
So
from a
good.
day walking through this place and seeing it, he just got ultra geeked out and was in, like fully signed up last night.
It's funny, actually. I think that's a really good example of like not settling and continuing to develop your skill set.
Yeah.
Because imagine a company that hires a guy that not only knows how to repair machines but also program them and run them and all this stuff. So, when you start like just
Ultra
staying
valuable.
hungry, just stay hungry. You know, it's like even though a guy's probably making a good wage, he's got a good solid career path. It's like you can still take it even higher than that. So it's,
Just by subscribing to our channel, you learn so much about so many different technologies. Every salesperson, everybody in industry, HR, anything, by just watching the videos, they'll just learn what EDM is
Agreed.
and how it works, and additive, and the different types of additive, and Swiss machines and different types of Swiss machines and setup. And it's like, it's just fascinating. If you're in the trade, you should know what you're talking about.
100%. We were talking to these guys again, the visitors that were here yesterday, about the Grinding Academy, and understanding from A to Z everything about grinding is in there, from unboxing the machine to dressing wheels to setting up wheels to plunge grinding. I mean, there is so much to be offered. And even as much as I knew about it, you're going through the entire list of videos with them, and it's like, man, there is content.
You buy a machine, this is how you wire it. This is how you put it
Exactly.
on the floor. This is how the control works. This is how the setup. This is how you put a wheel on. This is how, like, these are the different types of wheels. This is what they're made of. This is the materials. Like, there's people, they've never seen it before. They don't understand, like the crazy amount of actual videos we have on everything. So,
Well, and again, we've talked about it, right? The amount of variables that are in this industry. You're never going to learn it all. Never.
and that's something we did with this facility too. We went so big, and on education. It's like social media is about making manufacturing famous. Everybody wants to like push the trades, but if you want the kids and you want people to actually understand it, social media is a gift. There's a lot of bad things on social media, but it is a gift because you actually can reach people where they're at all over the world and show them machining, and they're like, I have never seen this machine. It's like, your car, your phone, everything wouldn't exist without this. You should actually care about this. And since the government and nobody else is pushing it, we're pushing it.
Jump on it. We and not to get too much in the weeds, but same visit yesterday. Remember, we were showing them the CNC expert page. Ridiculous. Like,
Crazy.
You're going in there. It's India, it's South Africa, it's the UK. All these people have joined CNC expert to post their profiles and put their parts out there,
communicate, ask questions.
And they're looking at this wall, the feed, and they're like, "What in the heck?" Their jaw was on the floor.
Social media platform for machinists.
Yeah, crazy. And I think we were supposed to talk about this story though. That
the skull implant.
I gotta go back to that because it's a great story, but not to be like that.
But I just want to say that
it's great.
A lot of people play with social media, and they play with it, and they say, "Oh, you should put this 20-year-old kid on it." They don't truly see the brilliance behind it. And what we've done differently is we've respected the opportunity and the platform
Completely.
and then looked at it and said, you know what? Nobody else is doing this. Nobody else is teaching their secrets. If you're showing stuff on YouTube, you don't have NDAs. That means you're showing parts that don't really matter too much.
That's right.
But since we've done crazy parts, we actually reverse engineer and do our own parts to teach what needs to be taught. And I've looked at it and said, you know what, a lot of these big billion-dollar companies, they hire some good-looking guy or girl to go talk about manufacturing, but machinists don't respect that. Machinists respect machinists. Like, they'll only listen to people that actually understand the art, that are from the same blood as them, that understand the grind and all of it and stuff. So that's one of the biggest things I've done, is like surround myself with amazing, talented people. You know, and
they'll flush
Trevor
you
was
out.
one of those, you know.
Yeah, they'll flush you out too. As a salesman going into shops, and I would always talk, to my guys in the shop and learn and how they did things, why they did things, why they set it up that way. What was the tool path all the stuff behind it. You come in as a salesman not knowing what you know and not knowing the competition, they will flush you out, and it will be hard to sell a machine in there.
Yeah, and even as a machinist, you have to be of a certain type of personality for people to actually want to take advice from you.
Good call.
If you're the know-it-all, nobody wants to listen to that guy.
Yep.
You know, if you don't know what you're talking about, nobody's going to listen to you either.
Totally agreed.
Barry's a good example. That dude is crazy talent. He's done crazy jobs, fourth generation machinist, but at the same time, when he walked in here, he couldn't comprehend it, and he looked at me and he started looking at parts that I had machined, and he's like, great, like, I have to go on video, how am I going to compete with you? And what did I tell you?
So we're not a competition, man.
That's it.
I was like, you're seeing it wrong. My job, like, one of the things that I'm confident in is, and I
everything.
I know enough, and I have a lot of confidence, and I want to surround myself with people that are better than me in certain places. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert. I'm not going to pretend that I'm the best person on the grinding machine or the EDM machine or the additive or the Swiss. I want to find the best individuals that are worthy of teaching our great nation and the world this trade. And then my gift is, and I told Barry this, and I backed it up the whole way, not to be like that, but just, I told him, I'm like, look, this is not a competition. You're going to come in here, you're going to do great things, and you're going to teach this trade. My gift is I'm going to help you be a better you.
Love it.
Like, I'm going to mentor you and always have an answer for you, and I'm going to lift you up and you're going to go to a greater level. And that's my day-to-day, is just working with all my guys.
Love it.
And that's absolutely what he does. And, when I walked in here, I didn't understand what I think a lot of people don't understand about us. I thought I was coming in here to make cool YouTube videos on machining.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it was about educating everybody in the world and making everybody else better at what they did.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at him making this giant titanium octopus, and I'm like, I can't compete with that. Like, what am I going to make after that? There's nothing cooler, right?
Right.
But no, it was the education thing. And I see people in our Facebook group, and they're like, hey, I'm a school, and I found this cool education platform, it's some other platform. And it's like, you're in our group. We have the world's greatest machining academy, and it's completely free to every school, every person,
So great.
every UPS driver. It's like, people don't get that we are about education.
That's one of the cool things, though, that I do love, is not only do we get to educate, but we're inspiring people too, So it's like we are making, cool YouTube videos, but it's sprinkled in with education, and it's crazy inspiring when you see what these machines can do.
And what a great quality, to kind of piggyback on coming off of Titan's comments. What a great quality, leadership, and then surrounding yourself with other leaders and listening to them. I mean, that's how you become great. You have a guy at the top that, right, he's the company owner. He's the guy that's going to make the decisions. But then to surround yourself with people that are you're lifting up, and then to have the conversation and listen to those guys that are unbelievably talented. Some leaders, some business leaders will not. They will not. They'll shut the door. Yeah, no, this is my company. I'm going to do it my way. To have that input and to use that as feedback and lift those guys up, top quality. Good on you.
When we used to, I got to take like a SpaceX job.
Yeah.
And I'd look at it. I'm a programmer, so I would just look at it, figure out how I wanted to do it, and then I'd quote it. And if we actually, because you quote a lot of jobs that sometimes you don't get.
Sure.
But if we got it, I'd go out to the guys And then I would explain, hey, this is a job, this is lead time, this is this, it's super complicated, and this is how I envision it. We build this fixture, we do this, we use these tools, we do this, 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 and this, and this is the process. And then I would just stop and say like, what do you guys think? And I'm like, if somebody, I tried to always make it so they were comfortable with disagreeing. So I'm like,
Nice.
how are we going to be the best if it's one person
Exactly.
that's dominating the conversation?
Exactly.
So if you have a better way, then bring it right now. Like, let's talk about it. But if you don't say anything, then this is going to go into a process block, and that's going to be
And that's it.
done.
Yeah.
So you can't deviate from it. So bring your ideas and let's go. And it's the same thing here. It's like I'll tell these guys, you know, look at their ideas, look at different things. You know, I usually make the final judgment, but I'm like, surprise me. Like, surprise me.
Yeah,
I want to be surprised.
Absolutely.
I want to see amazing things and things that I can't even think about, and then we celebrate it, you know. But if it's not amazing, I'm not scared to make a decision.
Well, I think there was a question, right, that we had after one of the first I think after our first podcast we did, and that kind of leads into something that one of the people looking at the podcast came up with this question: how do you, as a young guy, you know, coming into the industry, how do you see yourself compared to maybe a guy that's been in it for 20 years, and where that difference is, and how much you're going to learn at 20 compared to how much you're going to learn to expand your skills at, say, 45, right? That's one of those things that you got to, like you just said, Trev, you got to keep pushing to learn, regardless of where you are in the industry. If you want to shut it down at 45, you're going to shut it down. But you know, talk a little bit about that. What are those things that guys should be continuing to learn at a later date in their career?
I think regardless of whether you're young or old, attitude has a lot to do with it, and how you conduct yourself, and how much you want to learn, and how much you want to get better. You have to have an open mind, right? You got to listen to the people younger than you and the people older than you. So, you know, just by having the right attitude, you're going to be on the right track, assuming you're in the right environment.
Yeah, I love that. I'll listen to my daughter who's 12, and she'll teach me things, you know,
for sure.
And
Patience.
Tyson's always Tyson
right.
helped you the other day. He's always helping me with when it comes to computers or doing different things. You know, I don't know everything, and he's a master at that stuff. You know, so if I need help, I'm not pretending. I'm just like, hey, can you come help me out?
Yeah,
you know, and stuff. But I love when 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds get into manufacturing, because we need as many people as possible in this trade. And it's a trade that's not necessarily hard on your body. Like
right.
CNC machining, because the materials are inside. It has to do with your brain. And even if you're not in manufacturing, like the way that you develop and the trials and tribulations that you've gone through, you just mature. So I think when you're older, you're at a level where you can actually learn this trade and do great things.
Completely.
But you're right. It's the attitude. I've had like 50-year-old guys coming in, and they're making an excuse for everything. And then they're putting up a wall, and they don't want to listen to young people. And they're being sloppy in ways that are like, this is who I am, so I'm not going to change and stuff. And you can't have that attitude.
Right.
If you come into a clean shop, you need to be clean. If you come into a place that has a certain rhythm, you need to come in alignment with that rhythm.
Totally.
And these 18-year-old kids will teach you something. So humble yourself and actually listen, and just take it as a gift that you get to learn something. And if you're older and you have an attitude where you're going to actually listen and take notes and put the extra time in, companies will hire you, and they will be so happy with you.
Yeah.
But you just have to be a nice, pleasant person who's motivated, who's like going after it.
Well, I think that if you look at, I think I'm pretty close to correct on this number. I think the average age in our industry is 58. So, right, we've got an aging generation of machinists, which are talented as heck. But, you know, when you get a young guy coming in that doesn't necessarily know what he doesn't know, and pushing the limits that maybe he's, like you said, teaching these guys something that they've never seen before by just trying stuff that is not been tried before.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the benefit of having both young and old,
Yeah.
you know, is that they can kind of help each other navigate through some of those challenges and stuff,
Completely.
you know. But it really, I believe it really doesn't matter what your age is at all,
Yep.
you know, because all that really matters is what you can do, you know. So if you can make crazy parts, then you're going to have a place in the industry,
Yep.
you know. So it doesn't matter your age.
Attention to detail.
One of the dynamics I like between, you know, in a shop with like the older generation and the newer generation is the newer generation can teach some of the newer technical skills, and the older generation teaches some life lessons. You know, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
it's
good
not
call.
all just about the machining side of it; it's about life too. So
That was actually something that was really nice about the company I worked at with my dad is basically everyone in the mold making department was over 50. But, you know, I'm talking to these guys, like one of my mentors, Marvin, he was married for 30 years, you know.
Yeah.
And so I just got married and I'm like, hey, what's the secret to staying married for 30 years, you know? And he just said, your wife is always right.
Yeah, it's not
Wise
bad.
man.
And I'll
That's
never
wise,
forget
Yes.
it.
Wise man is
Yeah.
right. Oh, it's
That's
good stuff.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Marriage is work. The job is work. Being a father is work.
Yeah.
All of it is
Life is
work.
work.
And
Yep.
you just gotta understand the process, and you gotta like look at all the variables and give
Yep.
them the right amount of time, and just walk through it, and make everyone feel special every time you talk to
All
them.
right, I'm going to throw this out for the last time. I feel like the everything's hanging on this story that
This-
has
because,
been.
because it had to build. It had to build. But this is actually
Everyone's like, they're probably, what is this story? What is it? I got to.
well. One of the things was it was a skull implant.
Yeah.
And this thing's being done on the true print. And what do you call the lattice structure? Is it like of the skull implant?
Yeah, there's like a lattice structure on the face of it.
And the bone, it's actually being used,
Right.
you know, by doctors all over the world. And because of the way the lattice structure is and the porosity and all of it, the bone can actually grow into the metal.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right?
That's crazy.
Yep.
And it's titanium.
Yep.
So we're doing the whole thing, the tour, right? And when we do the tour, we start over by the DN machines. We come through grinding. We come over to EDM, and then Trevor is the last spot because it's around the corner from the Swiss.
Because they saved the best for last, Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
man.
you and
Oh,
Donnie have to fight on that one, right?
Exactly. So we go into his beautiful office, and this is my first time with this tour, and then I hear this awesome story about the skull implant.
Yeah, that skull implant was crazy because, you know, we had the idea, and then I go to Titan because Titan usually takes the idea to greatness. So I'm like, Titan, please help me take this idea to greatness.
No, I don't think that's exactly how it happened. So he actually created an audio about it and then recorded it, and then we were going to put B-roll on it, and then you brought the audio to me, and then what happened?
Yeah, and then he was like, yeah, I think you should tell the story on camera because the audio was kind of like, you know, going to put me to sleep. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, you know, I can do that. And, you know, it was kind of a turning point for me because, you know, being on camera, I'm not really like a natural storyteller, I wouldn't say, you know, and it's not something that I've practiced throughout my career because I've just been worried about making parts. And so here, there's all these incredible stories behind the parts, and I learned that when I got here. You know, it's like you need to share those stories because it's crazy inspirational. So
Yeah, and then these guys would write it down. Like I can never write anything down.
Yeah.
Ever. Even when I do speeches, I can't write anything down. I just got to go with it, and that's where the passion comes from.
Totally.
And you lived it.
Yes.
You know? So he wrote it down, and it's a story, right? Then he goes and reads it, and then I was like, you can tell that you're reading it. It's just not genuine.
Right.
There's
Right.
no
It sounds
passion
too
behind it.
scripted.
Yeah, it's
So
like a
I'd be
teleprompter.
if you're gonna try to read it, then at least stand up, walk around, you know, have highs, have lows. Like it can't just be this is my job, I'm gonna read this thing. It has to be I'm actually communicating with people. This camera right here, there are people on the other side, and you're able to speak into their
good
life,
call.
and you're able to like touch their lives,
Yep.
and you're giving them knowledge. So you have to care about it.
Yep.
You have to care about it. So let's take you out of the recording studio. Let's put you at the machine and just make the part and explain it as
So
you go. And bring stories like why does this matter? Like people make videos and videos come up and nobody watches them in our industry, but it's on our videos, a lot of people watch them, but it's, why does it matter?
Yeah.
You know, so he tells me, oh, one thing that I learned about was this girl in what country was it?
Brazil. Yeah, so it's great. I think that question, like you said, why does it matter? That's the biggest question. And so as I'm doing my research for the skull implant, you know, I'm researching all the different materials they used and when they started doing the surgeries and everything. And then I came across this girl in Brazil who got in a motorcycle accident and she, you know, bashed her head in and stuff. She had a huge, like, piece of her skull, like, completely missing. And so, of course, right, it's like socially awkward, all that stuff. And she couldn't afford, you know, a skull implant.
Wow.
Like how they originally do it because the process is too expensive and all that. So, so then they tested the first FDA-approved 3D printed titanium skull implant on this girl, which allowed her to get it for a lot cheaper. And then it was a complete success, and it completely changed her life.
Holy smokes.
And so... And it's kind of funny because my takeaway from that was, okay, if I set this skull implant on the desk and I don't say what it is and you look at it, you're like, okay, you know, it's a hunk of metal. But if I tell you it's a skull implant, now you're a little more interested.
100%.
But if I tell you the entire story from when they started to where they're at now and how they're changing lives, now you're like inspired.
And what did that go back? Would you say 8,000 years? Was that?
I think it came back to that. It was like, he told me about the story and I was like, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's awesome. Make it and tell the story. And then it's like, what else can you add? What other value can we bring to the viewer? And it's like, how long has 3D printing even been around, you know? And when did they start making these, you know, skull implants and what were they made of and everything? And Trevor, he just went to school. Yeah. And he learned everything. And then the video ends up being like a whole history lesson on materials and how they were made and how they were made out of gold, but only by people that could afford it. And that wasn't even the best thing. That was just a status thing. And it ended up being a great video, and the video did great.
And the material behind it was crazy, you know, because I'm like, wait, 7,000 years ago they're using gourds? Who would have ever thought, you know? And I think we've all heard the term, you're out of your gourd.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
now it makes sense, you know? So
I'm pretty sure somebody implanted a pumpkin in your head.
Okay. Yeah. But then just to hear about just, you know, all the stuff that we've overcame, you know, over the years, it's just incredible to me. And that's just one part. You know what I mean? So all the other parts out there, they probably have very similar stories.
All of them. Yeah.
And the problem with our industry is that it is the best industry. It's what our country was founded on. That's what many countries are founded on. And it brings such wealth. And anybody, you don't have to go to college and you can walk into this industry. And if you have talent, grit, workmanship, all that, you can actually create a crazy life for your family. And if you're super talented, you solve the right problems, then you can write your own check and make millions. You know, it literally can change your life. But nobody knows about it. And people put these videos out and they're just boring. Everybody's in love with their own product and they think everybody else should love it, and they don't. They don't care. There's billions of videos out there. Why are they going to watch your video?
It's a great call.
So this was just a classic case where he started one way, and through that one video, he truly learned like how to make videos, and the video came out amazing. I was super proud. I was sending it to people and stuff, and that video brought value, and it made our industry and additive famous. People watched it to the end because they were engaged, and now they know about 3D printing. Now they understand like a history lesson, and now they look at our industry and say, you know what, that is valuable. That is amazing. That's something that we should be fighting for.
Agreed.
And that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's completely agreed.
Yeah,
for sure.
If you look at some of the different avenues that we've seen in the industry coming here, you know, in additive is one of them that has just been around for a long time, but it's finally hitting its stride. It's getting there. Maybe not completely 100% ready for taking over machinery, right? At CNCs at this point, but it's never
going to take over.
And
machinery.
it won't. No, it won't.
That's why everybody's kind of like nervous and scared,
right?
but it has its place.
Very
and
much.
It's an addition to that allows manufacturing to be greater.
Yes, very much so.
Exactly. Yeah,
completely
100%.
agree.
That's actually one of my favorite parts of the job, is being able to go explore different potential applications of additive that maybe haven't been used yet. And to me, it's great because it's pushing us as a society to a higher level. Like, it's in everything, medical implants, dental, aerospace, even construction. You're printing houses and stuff for cheaper,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Good
crazy.
call.
It's great.
Yeah, good call.
And then everyone here wears many hats. We all wear
Yes.
many hats, and I love it. If I'm not doing 10 things at once, I'm like depressed.
For
I'm like
real.
stuck in the mud.
Move.
My wife's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm just like, I only have a couple things to do,
Yeah.
She's like, "Then go outside and pull some weeds."
Yeah,
man."
pull some
I was
weeds.
gonna say, wives are good at fixing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt about it.
But-
Here's my list. Get on it.
Exactly.
But Trevor's grown in so many different ways too, because now you have the GF EDMs over here, and this guy's dropping down videos with millions views, showing the wire just doing crazy angles coming through, and showing people the technology on these GFs is so crazy.
Crazy.
And these are the smaller ones right here, right, that we have on our floor, but nobody knows about it. And GF is a monster company, and they're the originals that actually created. They got something like 3,000 patents or something.
Yeah, over 3,000 patents.
Over 3,000 patents on EDM and stuff. And then Trevor, people don't even know, like, EDM, it's music. Dun, 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 dun. You know what I mean? It's like, no, it's electrical discharge machining.
Yeah.
Yep.
My wife loves EDM, and she's just like, how come there's no music? How come there's no good music? You're like, do do do. And she'll be
Right,
like,
right.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
right. Yeah, we'll have to fix that.
But it was, I think, the first video you did for GF. I think the first 24 hours of that video was over 1 million views. And
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. I think I was only here a couple, 2-3 weeks, and I'm like, what in the? This is amazing.
They're blowing their minds.
Blowing their
And people can
minds.
say, oh, it's just views. It's just, it's social media. And it's like 1 million people
Yes.
watch these videos.
Yes.
And actually understand what EDM is, and they're watching more. They're being educated about manufacturing and seeing that it's important.
And this is one of the products. This is one of the machines in our industry that maybe a guy that has a shop and he does mill, he does lathe, he does grind, but he sends out his EDM. I used to sell EDM back in the day when we had a competitive brand. Watching you run these things, it's become a lot easier these days.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, these guys
Today's
should not
video.
be afraid of it.
There's a form tool video
Oh,
where
yeah.
he takes carbide and he actually creates form tools, and then they put it on the Swiss, and it just shows, instead of having a bunch of tools that are doing all these different grooves and contours, it just goes in like 2 seconds,
So
and it's
great.
like done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is a lot of shops, like, that's what you have to think about. You're going to do all these jobs. How do you do it? They think speed is only speed. Sometimes it's just intelligent tooling, custom
Totally.
fixturing.
Oh.
Like, you got to think
Nail
about
on the head.
all of it.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
the man now who came here for a 3-axis mill job
He's nailing it.
Not to be like that, but he's getting paid twice as much.
Yeah. Yep.
He's
been a
taking care of his
blessing.
family, and he's teaching the world about manufacturing on like
Love
the
it.
craziest technology. I mean, I think he should probably give me like 10% of his pay. I mean, because it's like,
Hey, yeah, he's
I'm just
always
kidding.
saying, you should
I'm
pay
joking.
me to be here. I'm like, you know what?
I know.
I think you're
Barry.
right.
I think Barry said it. But give him a 20% raise, and he'll give you 10%
Yeah,
back.
no
Right.
problem.
Oh, yeah.
real legit machinists come in here and they look around, and you can't tell on camera, but they look around and they look at these 40-foot ceilings, and
Yeah.
they look at the
This place is
machines, and
gorgeous.
they look at all the technologies and
And the Hawaiian music
the
playing.
Hawaiian
the
music,
bathrooms,
and
yeah,
the
right.
bathrooms,
And the
with
sanctuaries.
sinks.
Yes.
I'll give you an experience even in the bathroom, son. But they're just like,
It's true. It's
and
true.
I just look at them and I'm like, yes, because they're just like, these guys have a man cave, the ultimate man cave. This is,
Oh yeah.
and
It
I'm
is.
that's why I joke. I'm like, dude, you guys got free nitro cold brew. You got lounge areas. You guys can come on the weekends. We're creating a gym, this crazy gym over here, and put a shower in for you. You should pay me a membership to be here. Why am I paying you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Why?
And there's windows everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, Barry, you ever been in a shop with windows?
No, never.
Never.
No, they don't want you
Never.
to see outside because then you'll remember there's life out there.
Right.
Yeah,
It's like Vegas. Keep you indoors and
That's
don't
it.
let you know what's happening.
The
out
only one that suffers besides Brandon is Keith, because Keith's come in here and he's in here and he loves every day. I walk up to his office and he's like, it's fantastic. Like, oh, I was just talking to this person and they're just so blown away and lives are changing and it's fantastic. I was like, I told you.
Yeah.
But then he walks past all those windows and he looks at a golf course and he thinks back when he was in California and how he used to play golf all the time and how he had all this time to just play golf, and now it's like a picture on the wall that he can look at, but he can't do.
Yeah,
Because we're busy
It
taking over the
is.
world.
Busy changing the industry.
Yeah, man. it is a good thing. It is a good thing. I do miss golf a little bit, though.
Well, when I 3D print you a putter, we'll hit the
There
golf
we
course.
go.
Oh,
There
man.
we go. I love it. Great call.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I can't picture like a better place to stop right there. That was an
Fantastic.
amazing talk.
Yeah, it was
I
great.
love you
Great
guys,
talk.
man.
Easy.
Yeah,
Love you
super
too, buddy.
good.
It's an
Yep.
honor.
Boom.
Absolutely
distance.
agreed.
Long distance.
Long distance.
Boom.
love. Yeah.
Manufacturing, making it
Lift it up.
famous.
Lift it
Oh,
up.
Boom.
get some.
Let's
We're
go.
Let's go change the industry out here.
out. Yeah.